Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, I'm going live now. We don't have time anymore.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay. Okay, we are live now. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Leadership Show. This afternoon, we are going to focus our conversation once again on education sector in Nigeria. You know, we are doing this because of how important education is to the development of the country. That's why we have brought another expert, an educationist, and a former education advisor to tell us how we can move the sector forward. And the theme of our discussion today is bridging the gaps in Nigeria's education sector. And our guest is Dr. Bisi Esuruoso, formerly known as Akin-Alabi Bisi. Doctor, you are welcome to the show this afternoon.
Thank you so much, my darling brother, Remy Chuku. How's everything?
Very good. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, our focus shall be on the education sector, and we have brought you Dr. Bisi Esuruoso, a diligent educator who exhibits great passion for developing sustainable education solutions in Africa. Dr. Bisi was a special advisor to the immediate past governor of Oyo State on education, science, and technology. She is an alumnus of the University of Lagos, London Southbank University, and King's College, London. She is the founder of SchoolRun Academy and co-founder of Partners in Education in the United Kingdom. For her excellence in childcare development, Bisi was recognized in the United Kingdom by the then British Prime Minister, Mr. Tony Blair, in 2001. Currently, Dr. Bisi is the Executive Director, Operations and Marketing at the Exchange Point Ltd, a technological services outfit in Lagos. Therefore, as a professional with a focus on succession planning for Africa, we have invited her to speak to us on this important theme that concerns the education sector in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you are ready to hear from this educator and one-time special advisor on education. We want her to speak to us from both angles as a policy, as a policy maker in the Oyo State government, and also as an educationist, even as a business operator in the education sector. You know, just like I said, she's also the CEO of SchoolRun Academy, so she's well suited for this discussion, and that's why we decided to bring her all the way from Lagos to talk to us about this important issue. So, Madam Dr. BCB, you're welcome to the show once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure to always talk about education development in our dear country.
Very good, very good. Oh, okay, you know, I just read a brief about you, you know, your escapades in the education sector, even while you were the special advisor, you know, in Oyo State. So, is there anything I missed that you want us to know about you?
You said it all, except that I'm a mother of beautiful grown-up children, and I'm also a wife. That's all. I think you've said it all. I'm passionate about education, especially sustainable, qualitative education in Africa. And I always offer myself as a resource within the education sector. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you for reminding me you are a proud mother of 2 medical doctors and a lawyer. Good. That's interesting. That's interesting to know. Very well, very well. Okay, Doc, we are talking about bridging the gaps in the sector, in the education sector in Nigeria. So, Elema, we want to know what are these gaps we are talking about. So, basically, what are the gaps in the education sector we can see today?
Thank you. Number one, we know you and I know as an employer of labor that majority of our graduates are not job ready. They're not ready. There's a big gap between what they need in the workplace and what they are taught in school. So we need to bridge that gap. We need to ensure that we give them fit for purpose education offering. And when I say fit for purpose education offering, it means qualitative education. Quality simply means fit for purpose at an affordable and the right price. That is what quality means. So how do we ensure that our graduates or the product of our educational system produce graduates or individuals who are not just literate, but who are savvy about adding value to the economy. Those who are able to solve the solutions in our society. I can hear myself. I think I'm echoing. I think it's the internet.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Check your microphone. Yeah, check your microphones. I think, sorry, your speakers. Okay. Okay. So, can we go ahead, or do I allow you to check that?
Oh yes.
Before we
no, I think I'm okay now. Yeah. So basically, we need solutions. We need solutions in our society. Our education should be filling the gaps in the society and be giving us solutions. For example, we need to find solution for our market women. Every day, the goods are being rotten because they can't finish selling it, and the weather is not conducive for them to store it. So there should be somebody, or there should be groups of our graduates working, doing research. We need to give our students education that will give them critical thinking skills, that will make them be creative, that will make them to be economically viable and make informed decisions about what is going on around them and their future. So we need to invest heavily in e-learning and technology. We need to teach technology and ensure that technology becomes a great enabler in our educational system. We need to ensure that the initial teacher training of our teachers are up to par with the rest of the world. So we have a lot of gaps. Character education is there, content, and curriculum enrichment. These are the ways in which we can, bridge the gaps that exist presently in the education sector in Nigeria. And we're very lucky because education helps us. Education can help us. Education can help us to quickly bridge the gap. That's what technology can do. Technology can help us to bridge that gap quickly if we are serious about it.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, from what you just said, it seems there are so many gaps, ranging from the quality of graduates that we produce, from the various levels, then talking about the lack of maybe entrepreneurship or technology-based, tech-based careers in the universities and all of that. So let me ask you, which of these gaps need urgent attention? Because there are so many of them, even funding of the sector and a whole lot of that, the training of teachers, change of curriculum and a whole lot. So which of these gaps, need urgent attention?
Every time we talk about education, we talk about funding. We all know that we need to pump funding into education. But I'm talking about what those funding should be used for. Because majority of the funding that we pushed into the education sector has been used. They've been used either for buildings or infrastructural development, which is okay. But we also need to pump money into soft skills, development of soft skills, both for the teachers, the educator, and the students. We need to ensure that our students do not have complex when they are dealing with other their colleagues in the rest of the globe. So it's very important that we start with the curriculum, the teaching curriculum itself, because we find out that the teaching curriculum has been the same since over 30 years ago. It's so unfortunate. I have a friend whose daughter is now studying education in one of the universities. I don't want to mention the names, but the mother was in the same university, and she told me that she was very surprised and shocked to see that her daughter brought home the same copies and the same way, the same notes she was given when she was doing her degree 30-something years ago. They are still teaching them exactly the same thing. But education has moved on. So we really need to join the lead of the other people, the other countries, to ensure that we're giving, to ensure that the teachers are capable to deliver 21st century educational solution. That's what we need. We need to look into initiative training, and we need to look into continued professional development of teachers, CPD. Most of our teachers have never had any meaningful training after they left university. And they have been using the same knowledge that they gained from university. Some of them have graduated 30 years ago, and they are still using the same pedagogy that they gained 30 years ago when they did their degree. So we need to be deliberate in ensuring that our teachers are capable, they are supported. You know, we create an enabling environment for our teachers to thrive and to deliver effective teaching for effective learning in our schools. Basic education is important because that is the foundation whereby we can build upon for better things in education. So we need to look at the initial teacher training of the stakeholders of basic education. That is key, because at the end of the day, once the foundation is set, it's easier to build on it and cascade on their learning as they move along. So we really need to look at initial teacher training for basic educators. For example, and also we need to also look at the curriculum. We need to ensure that we enrich that curriculum to reflect current trend in our society. What are those skills that we need? We need character education like yesterday. We need to ensure that character education is embedded in our curriculum, in the fabric of our society. And we also need to ensure that education sector has everything that they need. They need to be informed regularly so that they can inform children in the classroom. Everything, every news that is happening, as it's happening in Abuja, it should be fed back into the classroom. They need to understand the process of governance. They need to understand the process of our polity, the Nigerian polity, and they also need to be taught character education.
Good, fantastic. You are really talking like an educator that you are. That's fantastic. Now, I'm happy that you laid emphasis on some of the urgent, the gaps that need urgent attention. And one of them, from what I heard you talk about, is the quality of teachers retraining. Now, there's something that really bothers me, because over 90%, even though that might be an exaggeration, but let me use that. Over 90% of the teachers we have today, embrace teaching and join the profession as a job opportunity. They just they looked for job in several other places. They couldn't find jobs, and the only one that they could find, were opportunities to teach in any of the schools, private or public schools. And that is why you find out that we have a lot of illiterate teachers, So many teachers in the system are illiterate. So what do you expect from such teachers who just got involved in teaching because it's a job opportunity? They don't have job, they're unemployed, so they decided to go look for where to teach. And because they were maybe they got graduated from some schools without really passing through the system, but because they are graduates or they got through whatever, I don't know, so they became teachers, and unfortunately they are illiterate. So what can you say in that situation?
Let me tell you, being an illiterate does not mean that you being an illiterate does not mean that you were not trained as a teacher. There are lots of trained teachers who are illiterate. Do you agree? And that
Yes.
takes us back to my question. And that is, we need to rethink our curriculum. What sort of education are we giving our children? Because you're not trained as a teacher does not make you an illiterate. If you have a degree, how good is that degree? How effective is that degree? If our educational system was good, even those people that mistakenly found themselves in the teaching career, they will still fare well if the general standard of education was good initially. So it takes me back to the same thing. Let me tell you, anywhere in the world, it is not just trained teachers that teach. I would like us to take that mindset away, that everybody that needs to teach must be a trained teacher. The greatest qualities for teaching, the greatest single quality to become a teacher is the passion to impart knowledge. So whether you have trained to be a teacher or not does not mean that you cannot teach. What we need to do as a society is to ensure that we support those who were not trained initially as teachers and they still want to teach. So we should have what we call the continued professional development, whereby we can give them school-centered training. When I say school-centered training, it means they will be training as they are working. They will learn on the job. What we need to do is to recognize teaching as a professional course. And also, every school should employ a professional tutor. When I say a professional tutor, it means that person has passion. That person is a master teacher, a master educator that have passion for leading professional development of teachers in the school. Every school should have a professional tutor. The professional tutor will be in charge of promoting learning, in charge of supporting colleagues. They will be like mentors. They will mentor the younger individuals in the profession. They will uphold the ethics of the profession, and that's one way out of that. So I always argue against, oh, you didn't train to be a teacher. I mean, what is important is the passion. That we have excellent, wonderful people that never trained to be a teacher who are excellent teachers. Do we now say, because they did not train to be teachers, they will not be given the opportunity to carry out their passion? We have people who are medical doctors and ended up in the classroom. We have people who are creative artists that ended up in the classroom. So at the end of the day, the most single reason that you should be teaching should be passion, not because you've been trained. And come to think of it, if I'm going to take you back on that, majority of people who are even trained as teachers in Nigeria got that training because they were not given the first choice of course in higher institution. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Because frozen. Yeah.
No. Good.
So,
I hear you.
What we need to do in this country is the government really need, as a matter of urgency, to rethink the entire process of becoming a teacher. They should ensure that they make teaching very interesting, so that the right people are attracted to teach. I think they should look at the emolument of teachers. They should look at the remuneration of teachers. They should put together incentives for teachers. I think our teachers are the building blocks of society. And until we start to put them that way, we will not attract the best candidates to the teaching profession. We really need to rethink, how to attract the best brains into the teaching profession. Even in a tertiary institution, those who become professors today are not necessarily the intelligent ones. The intelligent ones leave academia and they go into the public sector. So it's very important that we find a way to retain, brainy people to be in the education sector.
Okay, very good, very good. You have made two policy statements that will lead me, into trying to find out what you did when you were special advisor to the governor of Oyo State. You said every school should have a professional tutor that will serve as a mentor to other maybe younger or inexperienced teachers in the school. And then you also said that the government should make teaching very interesting and attractive, so that those brilliant people, graduates, can go to teach in the schools. So these are policy issues. So that's why I want to know, when you were a special advisor to the governor of Oyo State, how did you manage to, or what did you do in this regard?
Thank you. You know that governance is a continuum, and it cannot be done in isolation. Together with my colleagues and my contemporaries within the education sector, we were able to implement certain policies when we were there. And we tried to initiate interventions, because at the stage we are now, what we should be doing are interventions. Government should look for short wins, low-hanging fruits that we can quickly harvest in the educational sector. We cannot say we want to reinvent the wheel or start all over again. We can do that as a long term, but in a short term, we should be looking for intervention. And one of such interventions that we were able to successfully launch during His Excellency late Biola Ajimobi's administration was the Oyomesi We call it Oyo State Model Education System Intervention. It is using short interventional strategies for quick wins within the educational sector to improve pupils' academic attainments, people's character and attitude to learning, and also to enrich the curriculum so that we can reignite the passion for learning. And I need to tell you that we add great fun, because really education should be fun. Children will not learn unless they are having fun. So that's another aspect. We need to train our teachers to understand how to make learning fun for the children. Teachers should not be didactic and just stand in front of the classroom. They should look for different ways. Like you asked me for what we did in Oyomesi. Let me just tell you what I did when I was the essay, because I started digressing again. We put together Oyomesi, and Oyomesi had 3 strands. Strand 1 was character education. And how did we do that? We put together a compendium of heroes. This is the compendium of heroes for Oyo State. We compiled list of Nigerians. It doesn't matter where you come from, but we also have the core Oyo State indigenes in there. We make sure that 70% of the people we put in that compendium are from Oyo State. These are people who are success stories in their own right, in their own industry, from arts to performing arts to engineering to accountancy to medicine, walks of life. We compile them and we ask them to tell their stories in their own words, so that we use this compendium of heroes to talk about, to motivate students on every morning in the assembly hall. What we've done is that we put together a program and we gave it to the schools. We asked them to choose the day, at least once a week. They must discuss the theme for that week. We have different themes for different weeks. And we started from Oyo State. The first theme was Oyo State. And then we started teaching them. We put information about Oyo State in here that children can learn about the number of words we have in Oyo State, about the number of local government areas, about our coat of arms, the Oyo State logo. What does it mean? What is the cowries that we put there? What does it mean? For example, we talk about and then we now started talking about the cabinets. Because children will be in school, they will not even know the names of the commissioners in their state. They're not enlightened. They are not literate. They are just going to school. So we need to ensure that our education teaches our children to become real civil citizens, to be competent civil citizens. That is the Oyomesi mission. The mission statement is raising competent, creating competent civil citizens, CCC, so that they will be able to talk where they go. That's character education. And in character education, we also have the champions in school. We have what we call the Oyomesi champion. We give them a badge. So they are responsible. In every class, there's a champion. And that champion is responsible for not dropping litter, to ensure that the classroom are clean, to ensure that everybody in that class wears their socks, they are in proper uniform, they don't look rugged, and they don't speak foul languages. We also make sure that we have, out of the teachers, we have the Oyomesi champions as teachers. And those representatives were the ones that help us to deliver the Oyomesi interventional priorities in schools. What we did was we just declared some priorities as government, and we said, and what took us there? What took us there was when they started saying constituted authority. We even did a movie The children did a movie themselves. They wrote it, they delivered it, they directed it. We got people from Nollywood to come and train them. They held camera themselves. They did everything, and they called that movie Constituted Authority. And that movie spoke about the meaning of constituted authority. What the authority for? What is constitution for? Will people like to stay in a state that does not respect the law and order that is put there? And so on and so forth. And also, we put together incentive for teachers. That's Trans 3 for your message. Incentive, whereby all the teachers that got 50% of their students that sat for WAEC, they all got some money on top of their salary when the WAEC results came out. So we had that incentive, and we were sponsored by First Bank of Nigeria, Access Bank, and so many other, KPMG, and so many other organizations came to our aid to support this laudable program that we did. And the second strand, which is strand 2, is content development, enrichment of the curriculum with content. And what did we do? We did STEM. STEM is science, technology, education, and engineering and maths. We taught children STEM, and we did this in collaboration with STEMnet, which is an NGO, and Airbus 747. You know, that company in France that built, is it France or Germany, that built the Airbus. They supported us and they sponsored us to teach children coding. We did coding, we did robotics, and we had 1 day a week where children are in that STEM educational classes and they had fun. And on top of that, we did trips, educational trips. We brought children from Ibadan, from Oyo State to Lagos to come and see the bridge at Lekki, the suspended bridge, the suspension bridge. We took them there and we taught them STEM. We taught them the input of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths on that bridge. We told them the careers involved in STEM and in the value chain of STEM. We now took them to a badge in Apapa to go and see how oil is being processed. They went into the badge. We took them to Lador. Lador is an oil and gas firm, processing firm. We took them to Lador. The Lador MD was very helpful. She opened up the badge to the children. They went into the badge. They learned about health and safety around the facility. We now discuss the career in the value chain, the oil and gas value chain, which is also linked to STEM. Then in the evening, we took them all around Lagos to look at the LED lights, you know, those changing adverts board. We also let them know that it was STEM that made that.
Okay, Doc.
Things. We also ensure that. Yeah.
Hold on, Doc. I'm happy. You achieved a lot while you were there as advisor on education. That's fine. So, but a question, a follow-up question to that will be, how did the current government, or how is the current government sustaining all of those things that you introduced? Well, I don't know. Yes. Do you have any information? Do you have any? Yes. Did you hear me?
They are not doing anything. Yes, I can hear you. To be quite honest, they're not doing anything about your missing. And okay. I have.
Is it a issue? Don't worry. You have just answered.
I'm very painful.
Go ahead.
It's very painful.
Go ahead.
It's very painful because had we continued, because we did Microsoft Imagine Academy, we started it in Oyo State, right? And we were sponsored got some part sponsorship from Microsoft and some other partners that came together to train our teachers. We had all it takes. By the time COVID broke out, we would have been in a better situation than we were, because our teachers will have been able to manage simple lessons with technology as we continue. But unfortunately, you know, governance is a very cumbersome process in Nigeria. Before we roll out the programs, the Oyomesi program, it was already like 2017, and the governor started in 2015 before we could put together, do the white paper, do the concept notes, you know, call all the stakeholders, and finally we were able to get the nod of everybody to launch Oyomesi. We launched Oyomesi on the 10th of May 2017. You know, and that's like 2 years after His Excellency started his second term in office. So by the time we started, it was in stages. And by the time we were able to complete all that we had in the blueprint, it was time to leave. And we thought, okay, fine. Government is a continuum, because His Excellency kept on telling us till the last day that we should continue to work. Because we're going to hand over to another government, and government is a continuum. And we worked till the last day. But unfortunately, after we left, I have not heard anything about Oyomesi, and I'm actually very desirous to take it back and run it as a community interest organization. I'm really, because we need it. We need to continue to ensure that we are delivering cutting-edge education solutions.
Okay, good. You know, that is a worry for all of us, especially those of us in the development sector. You know, so let me ask you, in your own opinion, now, can you say that the government at all levels, starting from the federal, the state, local government levels, they are paying enough attention to the education sector?
No, I don't think so. They are paying lip service to the education sector. Yeah, you know, everybody talks about education. Recently, I can see some moves in some southwestern states that are genuine. For example, in Lagos, I can see that they are given laptops to teachers. I can see that they're giving some tablets to some of the pupils. And also, Oshun did something during Arabic Shola, they call it Opomo. But I don't know what has become of Opon Imo right now, you know. So at the end of the day, I don't think we are doing enough as government in the education sector. And when you talk of the local government, I don't feel the local government, that tier of government, I don't think they are very active. They need to pull their weight more.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the show, the leadership show, and we are reaching you from the Ugwumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa, from our headquarters in Abuja. And this afternoon, we are discussing on how to bridge the gaps in the Nigerian education sector. And our guest is a special one, Dr. Bisi Esuruoso, formerly Bisi Akin-Alabi. Yeah, Alabi, good. So she has been talking to us about, what do you say? Okay, so she's been talking.
Formerly Akin-Alabi.
Okay, Akin-Alabi. Oh, Alabi, not Alani. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're still talking about how to move the education sector forward. And here we have an educator herself, and again, an education advisor, you know. So she has experiences from both sides, as an educator and as an advisor who has been in government and supervised the education sector in her state or your state. Thank you so much for being part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you're watching us. we are happy, and we want to welcome your comments and your questions as we go on with this conversation about one of the most important sectors of the Nigerian economy, talking about the education sector. Okay, Dr. Bisi, I want to take you to the private sector participation. It's a pity that the private sector has turned the education sector into a business, and that's why we have proliferation of private primary schools, secondary schools, universities here and there, and unfortunately, some of them admit students that are not even qualified to join public universities, and then they also employ teachers that did not pass through the normal teachers training and all of that. So, is this affecting the standard of the education sector in Nigeria?
Yes. Well, the private sector will always be a private sector because they are in need for money. It is the job of the government to monitor this sector properly and to regulate it. So it's the regulatory function of government that is not working properly. Government needs to regulate the education sector properly. When I was a special advisor, we tried to do that. The only way you can do that is by putting together, stating the priorities of the government. Government must take their priorities, and they must ensure that they monitor, they do compliance monitoring and enforcement. So I will not blame the private sector players for delivering or providing substandard education, but I will still come back to the government and blame the government for not effectively putting in place quality assurance monitoring. I know that Lagos State has done something, but there's still a lot of room for us in Nigeria to ensure that we monitor. Monitoring the private sector is not an easy task, right? For example, in Lagos State, we have the school safety project, whereby we have 10 sets of guidelines, which have been put in place for every school to follow. But how many schools are following that? How many schools are aware that Lagos State even have the school safety rules and guidelines? How many of the players even know that? So government needs to do more. We need to do more as a society, and parents need to do more to find out what the parents are doing. What the schools are doing. When the parents find out what the government are doing, the parents also need to be an umpire. They need to be interested in what is happening to their children in schools. I have been able to see so many atrocities being committed in school because of being the school safety administrator for Lagos State. So many people will call me and they will let me know what has happened in their children's school. From schools where children are taught, or there was a school that the school bus that dropped the child at home killed that child because the drivers, the school bus drivers, are not properly trained in school safety. There are so many issues around the delivery of qualitative education. But like I'm telling you, it's the government that needs to be the big brother. And government needs to have a think tank in education that will be working 24/7 throughout the year to ensure that they are doing surveillance. When I say surveillance, I mean they are surveying what is happening in the developed climate, so that we can now bring it down to our society and temper it to meet our needs. That's what we need to do. It's not that we will be copying what is happening in London or in America or Australia no, but we will bring it here and look at which one will work for us, which one is necessary, and if it will work, how can we tweak it to fit our purposes? So it's very, very important for government to wake up to their regulatory function. That is what we need to do. Now, talking about private sector, another aspect I would like to talk about private sector is that if we want to do an event today on education, if I put together an education reality show, I will struggle to find sponsorship. But if Big Brother wants sponsorship, they will get it. So many awards in the performing arts, so many useless programs will get sponsorship. But education don't really get the sort of sponsorship that we need. I have done a conference before. I did it in 2008 at a hotel. It cost me 25 million. I did not get any sponsorship. I will have continued. And that conference could have, it's called Partners in Education, Partner for Excellence in Education and Learning, PIL. That could have been a private umpire, because in all over the world, in all climes, it is not just the government that helps countries to develop or society to develop. The voluntary sector also has a way, like what you're doing. Your leadership talk show is an NGO. You are playing your part to ensure that the gaps are plugged within our society. We need more NGOs like you, and even your NGO needs to be supported by members of public. In the US or in the UK, the majority of funding comes from individuals and comes as £1, £2 monthly. Well, Nigerians are not gracious. We don't have that giving attitude. We don't have that giving spirit. And when we want to give, rather give to our churches or we give to people we know, but we don't do random acts of kindness. And we need to also talk to the private sector to help us in education, because at the end of the day, they are the off-takers of the education sector. The education sector is operating optimally. The private sector, we enjoy it so much because they will not waste time they will not waste money. All their money, all the income, all the expenses directed at staff training will reduce and retraining, and all the money lost staff committing errors and making mistakes within the organization will reduce drastically if we have better education system. Our education system is operating optimally. The private sector will be the off-takers, and they need to do more. They need to sponsor education more. They need to sponsor teacher capacity and not just putting physical things. We need to look at the soft skills, not just directing. For example, when I was special advisor, a company in Ibadan, I won't mention the name, built a block of classroom for us, and I represented the government to go and declare it open, and I took them out. But when I was going around the facility, I realized they didn't put a toilet. They built a block of classroom for us, and they did not build toilet. What are they saying? They are saying that school children don't need to go to toilet. They should be defecating outside. That's what they're telling us. How can us as government accept that kind of a gift? I told them that we will not accept it. And I took them on and I told them that they should go and add 2 toilets minimum, a female and male toilet. And if the school, if they really want to give gifts, they should give good gifts. So these are the sort of things that government needs to wake up to. Government needs to have a blueprint of do's and don'ts, even when it comes to gifts. If you're going to give me gifts and you are going to give, you have to go by the standard put in place by the states. The states should feel proud about their own standard. As it is now, I just jumped. You know, it's like our education sector is a jumping ground. So it's very important that we do this.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the show, and we are talking with Dr. Bisi, an educator and an education advisor. If you want to connect with her, you can see what is scrolling on the screen. Okay, if you want to connect with her, just like I said, go to www.schoolrun.com.ng, or you can also follow her on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube using @SchoolRun Academy. @SchoolRun Academy. That is how you can connect our guests and continue the discussion and whatever else you want to know about her and her organization, the SchoolRun Academy. The SchoolRun Academy. So that's how you can reach her. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, it's really interesting and engaging, and we have some comments on the comment section. So let me read out from the comment section. This is from Ikenna. Ikenna is watching us from Japan, and this is what he has to say. Teachers in Nigeria lack motivation. People are not passionate and motivated about becoming teachers in Nigeria because of poor remuneration. That is, so do you have anything to say there?
Yes, I said it earlier on. I said we need to look at the remuneration of teachers. We need to look at their package, the total welfare package of teachers. We need to put together incentive so that we can attract the best brains to that profession. Ikenna, you are correct. Thank you.
Good. Again, this one is from Ikenna. What would be the benefits of public-private partnership, especially at the primary and secondary schools level? Why don't we have such partnership in Nigeria? What would be the benefits of public-private partnership? Okay. So what would be the benefits of?
We have a lot of public-private partnership, but the problem that we have, the stumbling block, is always the bureaucracy, the government bureaucracy. The civil servants are not very pleased with anything to go right. I'm very sorry about this, because of the experience that I've had trying to put together public-private partnership is hellish. Even when I was in government, I found out that a lot of these things, the civil servants will drag their feet and they will frustrate some of these things if there's nothing in it for them. Let's talk, let's be frank about corruption. Let's be frank about the cankerworm in our society. The cankerworm in our society is ourselves. A typical Nigerian is a roadblock of Nigeria. So it's not just the government, but our people. Our people will frustrate anything that they don't have any. There was a time I was going about from state to state. There was a public-private partnership I wanted to do for quality assurance. But all of them will ask me, where is the money? Because I wasn't asking for money. And they didn't see where the money would come in because I wasn't asking for money. I was more passionate about let the government adopt these things and let's start talking the talk. Once we start talking the talk and walking the walks, we will get our friends, the friends of education all over the world. We stand up and they will support us. We will get grants from the development aid organizations all over the world. If we can show that we are serious, we are genuine about data collection, we need to gather data. We have no data. Our data are flawed. Our data are not correct. Some states will doctor their data because they want to collect more money from UBEC, for example. So the data are not correct. You know, so we need to be proactive as a government to ensure that if we find just one state that can do this thing properly, you will see the difference within 18 months. I'm telling you, because there are things that can be done to quickly move education forward in Nigeria. That's what we need. That is what is missing in our society, is qualitative education. Our greatest problem in Nigeria is not insecurity today. Our greatest problem is lack of awesome education, because there are some of us who are educated that will still behave like illiterates, that will still drop things from their car. There are times when I'm driving and I see people drop things from their car. I will tell my husband that I feel like blocking him and telling him to come and pick up that trash. You know, there are so many things happening. So education is key. Education is the prerequisite for development. And any government that fails, I repeat, that fail to ensure qualitative education for its citizenry does that at its own peril.
Fantastic, fantastic. You know, and that reminds me of this popular quote from Kofi Annan, the former UN Secretary General. He said that education is the only human right that has the power to transform. Education is the only human right that has the power to transform. You know, when one is educated, you know, his lifestyle, you know, seems to be in line with what is expected of him. You know, and again, just like the violence that we have across the country today, if most of the people are educated, I don't think they will opt for, you know, the banditry or for terrorism and all of that.
Exactly.
So
it's all about education.
Very good, very good. So education has the power to transform, and that is why education sector is important to us at the Ugwumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa. This is the second time we are talking about education. You know, because of how important it is. That is why all of once in a while we still come back to talk about education, because it is important to us at the center. Okay, now let's go to another important issue, you know, that concerns us. We do entrepreneurship. That's one of our major programs, and our signature is the enterprise development. So I want to know, talking about entrepreneurship and employability skills, you know, just like you said in the beginning, these are lacking in the curriculum, in the system. And unfortunately, the system or the curriculum they are using today, I don't know how many years that they were done and or they were prepared. And even at this age, you know, our children are still going through what we used in the past. And that is why they are not able to catch up with the current trend. So I want to know, you know, from your own perspective and experience, you know, having worked in that sector, how can we create a balance, you know, for entrepreneurship and employability in the curriculum?
Thank you. Thank you very much, my brother. You see, I'm sorry I didn't talk about that when I was talking about the gap. That's one of the biggest gaps, because when we say fit for purpose education offering, we need to ensure that we strengthen the vocational and technical education. You know, the vocational and technical education is very important. That's the reason why we, during our own administration, we established the technical university. The first technical university in Nigeria is situated in Ibadan. It was opened in 2017 by the late Abiola Ajimobi. It's on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That university is to encourage technical people. You don't really need formal education. Come in there and get better your knowledge and skills in the career that you decide to go. They are having different master classes and master courses in that university. And a mechanic can decide to come in and learn about diagnosis diagnostic tools for repairing cars. A painter can come and learn how to do the strokes properly, you know, and that is what technical university is all about. It's very important that we promote technical education. At the moment, we don't have good trainers for technical education in Nigeria. You know, when you go around the technical schools, you will be amazed. Majority of their courses are not being done because they don't have people doing it. So what we need to do as a nation is to ensure that we bring experts or go into, in fact, the shortest win for us, the quick win for us is to partner with public sector, private sector. We need to partner with private sector. We need to partner, for example, with construction companies. They have to stay on top of their game because they are in it for profit. So as such, they will know all the trends in that industry. So if we partner with them, they will help the technical institution and the technical schools to put together the cutting edge education or curriculum to help them. Like we can partner with GE Electrics for electronics and things to do with STEM. We can partner with Microsoft. We can partner even with Facebook, with Google. Google was going to open a big center in our state. I don't know how far they've gone now. When we were there, they approached us. They wanted to have like a training center in Oyo State, like a warehouse where we can train people, you know, technology and all sort of courses in technology. So this is what we need to do. We need entrepreneurship and employability skills. You know, I wrote a course. I have a curriculum that I call the employability skills that I want to take around the universities. I would like the university to adopt it and let their students take it up as an option, you know, and by the time they finish, it comes hand in hand with also internship. We will help them look for internship. We will help them, you know, do so many other things. You know, at the end of the day, the entrepreneurship and employability course will be a course that you can take anytime from year 1 to year 4 in the university. And just make sure you take it before you go so that you don't become ignorant when you go in for an interview. We will prepare you for interview, we'll prepare you to do your CV. Some students cannot sell themselves. I'm an employer of labor. I will advertise for 2, 3, 4 positions, and I will have like 2,000 applications, and I will struggle to have 2 out of the 2,000 applications to fill that position. So it's very, very key. And if we are not careful, this will be the downfall of our nation if we fail to plug this gap. And entrepreneurship and employability is a key gap that needs to be fixed. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still on the show, and we are reaching you from the Ugwumba Center for Leadership Development. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry about the break in transmission. We are still reaching you from the Ugwumba Center for Leadership Development in Africa here in Abuja. And this afternoon, we are talking about bridging the gaps in the Nigerian education sector. And we are, okay, our guest is Dr. Bisi Esuruoso. Dr. Bisi Esuruoso. Sorry for that break in transmission. We are still here and we are discussing how to move the education sector forward in Nigeria. But just like we have all established, this is an important sector that produces the leaders of this country. It's an important sector that produces the entrepreneurs, and this important topic, that we have set out for discussion this afternoon. So it's almost time to say hello, to say bye-bye, but before I let her go, I want to ask you, going forward, what must the government, the teachers, the parents, and students do to be able to bridge all of these gaps that we have enumerated in this discussion?
Well, like we've been saying, even though we have painted a very bleak picture about our educational sector, but it's still from that educational sector that we have people that are self-taught. There's a young man that teach himself from, self-taught himself from being a security guard, and he's now working for Facebook. He's a Nigerian. I'm so proud of him. I've forgotten his name now. He's from the same educational sector. We have the likes of Kuda, people who are behind Kuda, Paystack, and all the brilliant Nigerians that are thriving all over the world. As an educator, you need to keep reinventing yourself. You need to upskill. You need to gain more knowledge, especially in the time that we are now. In respect of pandemics, as an educator, you need to start skilling yourself to ensure that you understand simple technology and you can use technology. Don't be afraid of technology. You can learn from Google. Google is your friend. Everybody can learn now. Education is no longer closed in the classroom. It's borderless. So you can go online. You can visit our own website too, schoolrun.com.ng. You can visit it. We do an Instagram program at SchoolRun Academy Instagram. You can link up with us. We do contemporary programs. We plug the gaps in the society. All the things that you will not be taught in the classroom, we bring it to our audience through the Instagram live program that we just started. We started it because of the pandemic. You can learn. You can drop me an email at info@schoolrun.com.ng. We do free courses. I've done a number of free courses online on Zoom for those who are ready. And as parents, you need to get involved in your children's learning. You need to find out what your child should be learning. You need to benchmark your child with the right information. You also need to know about school safety. You need to find out what your state government is doing about school safety. You can call the Ministry of Education to find out. For Lagos State, you can call the Lagos State Safety Commission to find out. And also, as private organization, you need to get involved in education more. You need to support. You need to create corporate social responsibilities in education to help us plug the gaps. And also, as an educator, I've spoken about that, the whole community, the whole society, we need to imbibe a culture of learning. We need to find out about things around us, about governance, about rules, and we also need to obey the rules. For example, look at our drivers. Our drivers are not competent to be driving on the road. Most drivers in Nigeria, they don't know the rules. We have zebra crossing, and drivers will not stop when pedestrians are on zebra crossings. You know, majority of our drivers don't understand the rules when they approach roundabouts. That's the reason why we always have incidents and our roundabouts are jam-packed. There are so many things like that. So there's a lot we can do as individuals, but as government, we have been talking to our government all through today. We have been talking about government. Government needs to choose competent people and put them in the right places. That is one of the problems we have. We put round pegs in square holes. We need to put round pegs in round holes. When we do that, we will achieve progress. That is the reason why our debts were written off, because we had a competent round peg in a round hole. My dear sister, Dr. now Professor Okojo-Iweala, we had her and she knew what she was doing. That was the reason why we recorded that great feat during our time in office. So what we need to do is we need to look for Nigerians. We have brilliant Nigerians all over the world, you know, thriving and doing well in their respective careers. We need to bring them in. We need to entice the best brains into education. We need to also look at the packages of teachers. We need to support our teachers. We need to support our teachers. We need to give them discount. The private sector can give them discount. They can. We need to celebrate our teachers, those who are doing well. And we need to ensure that promotion is linked to performance. You know, promotion in the civil service is not necessarily linked to performance. People get promoted because it's how long you have done. You know, it's like a regiment. They just promote you once you stay 2 years in one post. They will move you. You know, it's not supposed to be so, and that's the reason why the civil service is the largest goal of our budget. You know, the biggest part of the Nigerian budget today is used to service the civil service. You know, and it's because we're just promoting people we should not be promoting. You know, some of them cannot even speak English. Some of them cannot articulate themselves. Some of them are illiterate. You know, and you wonder how they get into that position. So, as government, they should do us favors. Our political leaders should do us great favors by picking the right people, by giving us people that can deliver on the dividends of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure you have learned a lot from Dr. Bisi this afternoon. Like I said before, we're reaching you from Ugwumba, Center for Leadership Development in Africa. And to connect with us, just go to our website at www.ugwumbaleaders.org. On Facebook, you can reach us at facebook.com/UgwumbaLeaders. Then on LinkedIn, you can reach us at linkedin.com/company/Ugwumba Leaders. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to call it a day for this discussion. Today is already 1 hour, 14 minutes that we'll be talking about how to move the education sector forward with Dr. Bisi. Dr. Bisi, I want to thank you on behalf of my president, Ugwumba Uchemosu. It's been really awesome and a privilege to have you despite your tight schedules. I remember how busy you were before you joined us on the show. So I want to let you go so that you can, continue with what you were doing. And like I said, whenever we invite you again, I'm sure you're going to oblige us. It's a pleasure having you on the show this afternoon. It's a pleasure having you on the show this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're going to call it a day today because it's been really interesting and wonderful and talking about education. I'm sure we are not done with the education sector yet. We're going to bring another expert to discuss education in time to come because until we get it correct, we will not stop talking about the ills and the decay in the sector. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And Dr. Bisi, thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you.